I said this before. When looking at the bigger picture, you will notice that something is missing when something doesn't add up. Now look, you shouldn't develop a negative mindset. You should not have a cynical mindset in which you always see what's wrong or what's lacking. No, absolutely not. However, in detecting deception, it is important to understand the context and to see what's missing from the context. I'm not telling you to go and look what's missing everywhere. No, look at the context and what's missing from the context. That's important. For example, someone can be a successful entrepreneur, yet they don't have their own house yet because they're still living with family, because they've been in entrepreneurship for less than a year, and it's now that they need to purchase their own home. So the context is they are an entrepreneur, but yet they came out of deep financial difficulty and there's still people supporting them. Yeah, they are successful, but the context is they don't have their own house and all those gadgets yet because they're new as an entrepreneur despite their success, but they still need help from others. Okay? If you would look only at why does he have his own house and all of that, you could become bitter in your thinking he's a scammer or whatever. No, I'm telling you, look at the context of something. And if something important is missing from the context, then you need to begin to ask questions unto yourself about the matter. Okay, let me give an example. Let's say you have a forum or a meeting where you have women that escaped from abusive husbands and they're sharing their stories how they survived their narcissistic relationship. And let's say 10 women give their testimony. 9 of the testimonies, you can see clearly that they're telling the truth. Some of those women even have bruises still on their bodies of how they were beaten by their narcissistic husbands. But then there's one woman there that told a story how she was abused and all of that. But you sense as if the story was too perfect to be true. There were too many coincidences in that story that she thought, hold on a minute, this it seems like a movie script. Others didn't notice it. Others were so into their emotions of the story of those other 9 authentic women that they didn't consider that one of those women may be a fraud. Because you listened to her story and you thought, hold on a minute, those other 9 women are dead little babies, and the moment they know that something was wrong, they called the cops, or they called family, they called for help. And you have children that grew up and became teenagers witnessing all that gore and violence, and you stayed with that man, not taking any action to protect your children from being traumatized by what they would see on a daily basis. You think at yourself, hold on a minute, I think this woman either is lying or she's a narcissist herself. And after the meeting was over, people could ask questions, and you asked that woman whom you suspected, ma'am, did you ever consider what you could have done better? She looked at you very weird, I think, and she asked, huh? What do you mean? You asked her, ma'am, you just told us how you had 2 young children. Until the late teenage years, your husband was raging out of control, drinking, beating you, screaming, sometimes he's taking his anger out on the kids. What did you do to protect your children? Did you call relatives? Did you call the police? Did you do anything to guard them from the dangerous husband of yours? She looks at you and becomes angry. She says, why are you accusing me? You see, that's what I mean. Women are often understood. You're calling me I'm the victim here, but you are accusing me. And she told her, I'm not accusing you, I'm asking you. Didn't you consider that it might have been your responsibility to protect your children from that dangerous man? Because that man was obviously dangerous. He could have killed one of you in that house anytime. And she couldn't answer it. And then you also asked, when you noticed that the man became so dangerous, why didn't you ask for a divorce? You told me you had a loving family. Then where was your loving family all those years when you were being abused? Didn't they notice anything about you psychologically? If they were so loving and so caring for you, why weren't they so loving and caring in preventing you from marrying that husband? Why didn't they make any effort in keeping that man away from you? Or when the man became dangerous And they noticed it. Why didn't they act on your behalf? The woman became upset. She even wanted to smack you in the face, but you saw her hand moving that she wanted to smack you, but she just walked away. Now, in this context, the man saw that a lot didn't add up. A lot was missing in her story. You can't have a loving family that's there for you and it's so and spend so much time with you and they can't notice that you have a husband that's so out of control. That does not add up. So the awareness of the relatives is missing here, and also the logical, natural steps that should have been taken were also missing. So what this man later found out was that this one was a borderliner that often went to such meetings to get attention. And she indeed had such a husband, but she was still with the man, and she was enabling the man's behavior. Her kids were taken away from her by the authorities so that they could have a safer home. So in short, she was lying all the time to get sympathy from others. But the majority of the people in that crowd had so much compassion for her, and she feeded off that compassion, but those people didn't notice that there were things missing from the context of her story. Now, this may have been a very extreme example. I just want to alert you. Pay attention to the context. Don't pay too much attention to the details, okay? We live in a messed up world, so things can be messed up from time to time, but nevertheless, in the right context, there are certain things that shouldn't be missing. If those things are missing, ask questions to yourself. I'm not telling you to show your suspicion directly or to immediately make clear that you think something isn't right. Don't do that. Don't show immediately that you think something isn't right. Evaluate things. Look at the bigger picture. And if something is missing, ask yourself, why is this missing? That man in this parable, he listened to the story and he sensed that something was missing, and he repeated the story to himself, and he noticed on a minute nothing adds up about this story. But the people around him didn't notice it because they were so into their emotions. But this guy, even though he was emotional himself also, he still looked beyond. And here's the thing, there's nothing wrong with being emotional as long as you are able to look beyond with your mind. And look, when you notice something important is missing from the context, then and you see that this situation may turn out ugly and dangerous, I'm telling you, remove yourself slowly from the situation in a polite manner without causing any fights and anything. Remove yourself, and if there are people around you who also noticed it, remove yourself together from the situation. Don't try to convince everyone else, just remove yourself. Listen what I'm saying here. Informing all others may backfire on you. Just leave the situation alone. Not because the situation deserves to be left alone, but because you deserve peace. You deserve safety. I'm telling you, when the enemy comes to trick you, he will come as everything you ever wanted, figuratively speaking. If you have a crisis in your life, he will appear as the answer to your crisis. And it will be so overwhelming. But while you're so overwhelmed by the so-called solution that comes into your life, you miss looking at the bigger picture, you miss looking at the context. And if you would look at the context, you will sense that there are things missing. Okay, I'm going to give another parable and then I'm going to close. You have this guy, let's call him Freddy. Freddy is among his relatives, and he talks about this chick he met who works at the government. She earns a very high salary. She has a career of 5 years behind her already. She bought her own house, so she doesn't need anything from any man. And they were so in love, and he planned to go live with her. And they plan to marry later on. Now, the cousin of this Freddy listened to the whole story. But when he got home, he thought about it. And he realized, hold on a minute. So he thought about, you have a woman working at the government. She has a career, okay, that's possible. But she earns a high salary, very high. She has her own house. She is approaching 30. yet she has no man in her life. And he looks up the woman on LinkedIn, and he is stunned. She's very good looking. And he looked at her associates. Many of them were men, or bankers, or people who had their own businesses. So she had a very professional network. But still, the cousin felt something is not right here. Something is missing. The first thing he felt was missing is, why is she still single? Because that cousin knew many men out there who would really want to be with a woman like that. But he just sensed, okay, that may be because maybe she had a relationship, she's single now, so he didn't pay much attention to that. He sensed that something wasn't right with this female. So that cousin asked Freddie more questions about her on WhatsApp. And Freddie told him, well, she used to date this guy from Brazil several years back, but, well, he wants to remain in Brazil, and she has her life over here, so it went wrong. So you ask, okay, Freddie, so she was with a Brazilian guy. She went to Brazil once for an internship during college. Later, she decided to work at the government to do something completely different. She had a high salary back then also. The relationship endured until the first year of her career. Then it ended. And the guy even came to this country as a tourist to visit her. How did the relationship end, you ask? And Freddie tells you, well, she told me she just didn't want to see the guy. The guy came all the way for her here, but she pretended as if he wasn't here. She had no time. And then the cousin tells Freddie, don't you think that's a bit weird? I mean, you're a young woman, you have a job that pays you very well. You just graduated college and already have a job that pays so well. You already have all these professional connections so quickly. You even got your own home, which you later bought. I mean, things going so well for you, and now you have this guy coming all the way for you from Brazil on holiday, wants to spend time with you. I mean, everything's going well with you. Why did she reject the guy? She was so in love with him. Freddie said, well, I know how women can be. And the cousin said, Freddie, don't take this wrong. I'm happy you're in love and you want to be with her. She's a hot chicken of that. Okay, I can understand that. Okay? But please, don't you notice that something ain't right here? I mean, how come she has so much success so quick? And she can even have the man she wants, and she refused the man. And she meant to tell me she's been single all those years, that none of those men at the workplace tried to hit on her, or none of her former fellow students at college tried to connect with her. And then Freddie said, well, that's the boss, man. And the cousin said, okay, Freddie, listen to me carefully here. Nobody that gains so much success at such a young age will receive it without resistance from their relatives and from peers. When you become so successful at such a young age, even if it's at a later age, but especially at such a young age, a lot of folks going to envy you, become jealous of you, and begin to hate on you. How does she deal with all that hatred? I mean, does she ever talk about her friends, about her relatives? And then Freddie said, well, she has a good bond with her mother, so-called her father. Well, when she was a little kid, still the father vanished for some reason. And her friends, she has 2-3 friends she interacts with, that colleagues of her. And then you ask him, does she still have contact with people she went to college with? You said, well, no. Fred said, well, no, she doesn't. And then the cousin tells Freddie, dude, if you want to go and live with her and proceed, I support you. But I really want you to reconsider this. Because I have a very bad feeling about this, Freddie. And Freddie is happy with your concern, but Freddie promises you, dude, the moment I realize there is danger, I'm gone. Now, 4 months later, this cousin receives a phone call in the middle of the night, and he asks, "Who is this?" And he hears someone crying at the other end of the line, "It's me, Freddy." And the cousin asks, "Dude, why are you crying like that?" He said, "Please, hurry up. Do you still have your car? Come and pick me up. I need to get out of here." So the cousin stands up and he asks, "What's going on? What's going on?" And Freddy tells him, "She hit me, man. She hit me very hard. I need to get out of here." So the cousin goes, picks up Freddy quietly and leave. They file a report at the police against her. When they left the police station, they encountered an officer. And the officer asks the guy if he came to press charges against that politician. That politician was the woman Freddy was with. And Freddy said, "Yeah, how do you know?" The officer confessed, "When I was in college, I had a crush on her, and we met a few times, but she began to hit me and accuse me. She even threw objects at me. One time she threw a pen at me. I had to go to the hospital. Since then, I've told everyone what kind of crazy woman she is. And what I heard from other guys, that she's doing the same with them. She begins very sweet, but later on, bang, you're in trouble." And Freddy's cousin was surprised that there were so many men with bad experiences with this woman. And then the police officer added another thing. "Dude, I believe this woman is a witch also. Because the way she made her career, not even experienced people in politics make a career like that. I'm telling you, she either slept with a boss or with someone, or most likely she did some magical work on those people. She doesn't even know how to communicate on an adult level with other folks. She acts like a 12-year-old. It's like she's 12 years old on the inside. How can such a woman get such a high position? And she can't even communicate on an adult level with other people." And Freddy and his cousin listened to what the officer was saying and they realized, hold on a minute, that's a big red flag indeed. When the two got home, Freddy told his cousin, "Dude, I remember when you told me that something was missing in the bigger picture. And you know what? There was much missing in the bigger picture, but I was so in love I did not notice it. Look, this parable has been a bit longer. This video is almost 20 minutes. I've given 2 parables now, in which obviously there were things missing. Don't let the gender of the subjects distract you. In this case, I used 2 female suspects, but there can also be male suspects. It doesn't matter. Don't let the gender confuse you here. These videos are not sexist, okay? You have both male perpetrators and female perpetrators. Female predators as well as male predators. The media often focuses on male predators, and I'm telling you they're both male and female predators. So I'm just telling you to look at bigger picture, and once something vital is missing, don't ignore it. Well, that's it for now. Agree with Christ and be at peace.